Hey, what's going on, guys? Once again, welcome back. Dj-Ology, the science of DJing. Make sure to watch the video all the way to the entire end. Also, like, subscribe, share. Let us know what you're thinking. Also, I'm going to leave a link to the Facebook group. Like to see more of you guys in there. Love building this community. Hey, check out the video. Welcome back, Dj-Ology, the science of DJing. In this lesson today, we're going to go over a little bit of how to make long plays with music videos. It's been a lot of fun trying to make this tutorial video, so I tell you what, we're going to pull up Ableton right now. We're going to go into this view mode. I think it's the track session view mode. I already got a couple files already loaded up, so I pulled these off of VJ Pro. Going to get them loaded into Ableton. Sweet. As you can tell, as soon as you load the tracks into Ableton, the video screen preview pops up. So our goal here is to make a long music video mix show. So I got these 3 tracks just to give you an example. This will probably only be like 10-15 minutes of a performance track. So the way that goes is we're going to make our master tempo 128. I've already pre-picked some house tracks. So I want my example over here to be 128. So our first track, you double click on it, it brings you into an edit mode on the bottom part of the window right here. Since we're working with BPMs, we want to make sure to warp it. Make sure to go to Complex Pro. That's something we can cover in another video, why all these different warp features are here. Basically, Beats is for making beats. Complex Pro is what we're doing, which is mixtaping more or less. So we've got to find our 1, double click on the 1, right click, and then set 1-1 here, which is we just basically found our kick, our first kick, and our first track. Since we found our 1, we want our track to be warped, so all the transients line up on the grids. It'll make it a lot easier when you're blending in the next track. So we're going to hit warp from here straight. Now the reason we're hitting warp from here straight because it's not a live drummer. If it was a live drummer, then their snares would be a little off to the left, a little off to the right. But we're working with a metronome already remixed track, so we're going to hit warp from here straight. Now as you did that, it should have lined up the entire track on grid. If not, we could zoom in a little bit over here and double check it. And if you hit the shift button down, you can move our marker where you want it to move, because once you drop it on the kick, you can take this marker and then bam, move it back to the grid. And then you can see how, well, yeah, it's a little off over there. Perfect. Now we got our first track. It's lined up, but we need to blend in our next track. So we pretty much do the same thing to our next track. Double click on our Ed Sheeran over here, hit the warp marker, hit the Complex Pro, zoom in to our first kick, our 1, and I'm going to hold the shift key down and bring that over so it's nice and tight on the kick. Double click. We want to set 1-1 here because that's the beginning of the track, and then of course we want to warp from here straight. So if you see in the top right here, I made it a little bit shorter. And now it's time to warp the song in. So we're listening to our Havana over here. We want to catch our outro beat, which is right here at 105. And you see how it all lines up, nice and smooth. You're not hearing any sneakers in a dryer. But I don't know if you can tell from the volume quality that we need to add a low pass or an auto filter to our first track. So if we go over here and hit auto filter, it pulls up an auto filter. We're going to put it on here. And if you notice over here, we want a high pass filter. Well, that's way too high of a high pass filter. I'll play it for you so you can hear what it sounds like. Right? And this just deals with the different frequencies. Now you'll notice over here when the 2 tracks are blending together, that they're going to fight over the kick frequency range, so it'll just sound muddy. So we want to turn on our auto filter. Once again, our auto filter is right here. I'm going to shut it off right this second. I'm going to hit the play button over here. I'm going to hit record, and we're going to turn our auto filter on right when the other track's getting ready to blend. So it's a nice, clean, smooth sound from the outro track to the other track. Another thing to notice over here. Okay, so as you're playing this track, we got the Havana video. And and you'll notice that the Havana song is on track number 1, right? So when you go to track number 2, our second track, which is lower on the scale, that's when the Justin Bieber and Ed Sheeran track pops up. This is important to note because it's backwards than Premiere, or it's backwards than video editing software or Arena. It's normally the track that's on top is the video that shows to the screen. In Ableton, it's backwards. That's just how it is. So with that being said, we got a nice smooth transition from one track to the other, but you don't have any control over the video transition. So if you were just, see, it just snaps over. So if there was a flash frame or something in there, you're not going to be able to fix it within Ableton. You're going to have to render the whole thing out, which, by the way, I did this earlier, and I thought I would render it out because it was a 10-minute file and it shouldn't have taken too long. It took 2 hours. Like, I had time to do the laundry, the dishes, take the dog around the park, come back, clean the pool, and the thing was still rendering out. So just keep that in mind if you do like an hour-long video set. So let's just do one more track just so that I feel good. Now we notice that this track is on top, which is not where we want it because we want it to prevail over the presiding track. So track number 2, we'll say. So this is going. We're going to bring in our next song. Let's go ahead and just hit the warp button. We're going to go down to Complex Pro. It should be automatic by the time you guys have done 1 or 2 of these. We're going to make sure it's really tight. So I hit the shift button and then I can move this marker around. I want it about there. Double click on it. Right click. Set 1-1 here. Warp from here straight. Once again, because it's not a drummer, it's a track that's already remixed. Maybe we didn't like it like too much. Sweet. Oh, you don't want them green. You only want them green if it's like a live drummer and the track's all over the place. You'll notice over here that not all the track was listed, so we're just going to blend over this outro beat right here. So what's that sound like? Bam, bam. Oh, I think it's 209. Yeah, definitely 209 was where you wanted it. We got pretty much 16 beats until we get into the next one. Whee! Bam! And just so we go over it one more time, I'm going to add this auto filter over here to the second track. Once again, we want a high pass filter, but that's way too high, cuts out way too many frequencies. Right about there makes it so it doesn't sound too muddy. And we don't want it on for the entire track. Once again, we want to set up a little bit of automation. So we're going to put our mouse here. We're going to hit play, and then we're going to hit record, because the only thing that we're going to record is the automation of turning the autofilter on, which is right here. See how I put it right there on the track for you? I'm actually going to stop right here because once we put it where we want it, we can just move it around wherever. See what I did right there? Bam. That way the kicks aren't fighting each other and sounding muddy when you go from one track to the next track. So with that being said, we want to render out our project. Let's say you did 100 of these and it was about an hour long. Or 100 of those would probably get you like 5 hours. But okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and select our section that we just worked on, because this is what we're going to want. This is our end product right here, what's in the timeline in this section that I've already highlighted. So I click over here and it highlights everything within that section. And then we're going to go File, Export. Perfect. Make sure your video over here is turned on. For your audio file, I mean, you can have it however you want. WAV, AIF. I try and make the best, highest quality of sound. I don't want to lose any sound. But we could talk a little bit about the video function, which if you hit edit, it'll pull up another window for you guys. And I pretty much do MP4. What are the options do we have? Yeah, I do MP4 video. Now I actually looked up, I was a little confused on the bits over here. And for the answer to that is 3,500 to 5,000 kbs on something that's 1080. Which this isn't 1080, it's 1280 by 720, which is I'm fine with that. But we're right in a good range for that. And I don't know, your frame rate, I guess you can be really picky, 30 or 29.9. It all depends on your project or what you have working on. And another one was audio. I changed the audio from the original settings. I guess all I had was AAC, but I made it all the way to 4800 hertz, 48 kilohertz, and then I did best and 320. Once again, I didn't want to lose any audio quality from what I already had. And it's also good to go and look at what the audio bitrate is before putting it into the project, because it's something called dithering, where it has to make up information that's not there. So that's a little bit more complicated than we need to get into, but for now, these are the settings that I got, and then you can go ahead and render this out, which I did this about 2 hours ago, and that's how long it takes. So like I was saying before, we're going to go ahead and cancel this, cancel, because I've already rendered this out. And like I was saying before, you don't have any choice. Like if you look over here, you don't have any choice of how it jumps from one video to the next. So with that being said, I'm just going to pull up my Premiere really quick. I've already rendered this project out. I'm going to go ahead and put this inside our timeline right here, or at least try to. Premiere has been so fun these days. Oh, hold on, let's put it in the bin. Oh, it worked that better. And then over here, you'll have to wait for it to like recognize the entire file, and then you should be able to just drag it and put it in there. Sweet. Okay, so it's asking me if I want to change my settings because the project is 1080, but we rendered it out at 720. So I can say change settings, and now we have a 720 file, which it was 1080. And of course, we want to make sure that our credits show up in the safe area right there. But like I was saying before, we didn't have any control over the transition from the Havana track to the Ed Sheeran track. Let's make sure. See, there's a flash frame right there. The Havana, you see the flash frame? We can mask it, kind of, sort of. So if we go to these settings that I talked about in another video, transform, it'll make it way less noticeable. See this effect right here? So if I double click on that, and this is what the effect does. Whew. So, bam. So we're going to lock this track so that when we paste, so if I was to paste this track, it would just put it over the timeline. That's no good. I need to keep the regular video where it is, but I need to post the effect over it. So if we just move it so it's all lined up right there, this is what it does. And we didn't even, and if I was to not see that, you would still see this flash frame that's right there, which is no good, no bueno. But we put an effect over it, so now you can't see it, or it's not noticeable. I mean, it's not like it's not there, but it's there, but you can't see it. See? Bam! Sweet! And that's one way to make a music video mix show.